Hey everyone, Derek here from Bomb Socks with more Bomb Bites, where we feast upon the words of Christ and we do it one bite at a time. So we're finishing up the week with section 84 right now, and there's one little part here that I want to focus on. It's verses 62 to 91. There's some great verses in here. In the Come Follow Me manual, it says, "The Lord will be with me when I am in his service." So as you read these verses, and I would invite you to read these in just a moment here, you can identify ways the Lord said he would support his apostles and missionaries. How might these promises apply to the work he has asked you to do? For example, how have the promises in verse 88 been fulfilled in your life? So let's go to verse 88, and this is one that's kind of one of the more well-known ones in this section. So verse 88 says, "And whoso receiveth you, there I will be also. For I will go before your face. I will be on your right hand and on your left, and my spirit shall be in your hearts, and mine angels round about you to bear you up." I remember hearing President Monson talk about that being one of his favorite verses. How I'll go before your face. I'm on your right hand and on your left, and my angels are going to be round about you to bear you up. This picture right here, some of you may have seen this. I remember seeing this as a missionary, and I thought it was so cool. You see all these missionaries here, and you've got angels round, really large ones too. Angels round about you, bearing you up so that you can be able to do those things that you need to do in the service of the Lord. So when I think of that, I think of this particular message, and hopefully this helps you guys out to show you, as you are magnifying that priesthood, you see angels round about you bearing you up. So go ahead and watch this.
An acquaintance of mine left a small southern Utah town to travel east. He'd never traveled much beyond his little hometown and certainly had never ridden a train. But his older sister and brother-in-law, now living in the east, needed him under some special circumstances, and his parents agreed to free him from the farm work in order to go. They drove him to Salt Lake City and put him onto the train. New Levi's, not so new boots, very frightened and 18 years old. There was one major problem, and it terrified him. He had to change trains in Chicago. His sister had written, carefully outlining when the incoming train would arrive and how and when and where he was to catch the outgoing line, but he was still terrified. And then his humble, plain, sun-scarred little father did something no one in this room should ever forget. He said, "Son, wherever you go in this church, there will be somebody to stand by you." And with that, he stuffed into the pocket of his calico shirt the name of a bishop. If the boy had troubles or became discouraged or afraid, he was to call the bishop and ask for help. Well, the train ride progressed rather uneventfully until it pulled into Chicago. And even then, the young man did pretty well at collecting his luggage and making it to the nearby hotel room, which had been prearranged by his brother-in-law. But then the clock began to tick, and night began to fall, and faith began to fail. Could he find his way back to the station? Could he find the right track? Could he find the right train? What if it was late? What if he was late? What if he lost his ticket? What if? What if? What if? That big, raw-boned 18-year-old flew across the room, nearly pulled the telephone off the wall, and, fighting back tears and troubles, called this bishop. Alas, the bishop was not home. But aha, the bishop's wife was. She spoke long enough to reassure him that absolutely nothing could go wrong that night. He was, after all, safe in the room, and what he needed more than anything was a night's rest. Then she said, "If tomorrow morning you're still concerned, follow these directions. You can be with our family and other ward members until train time. We will make sure you get safely on your way." She then carefully spelled out the directions, had him repeat them back, and suggested a time for him to come. With slightly more peace in his heart, he knelt by his bed as he had every night of his 18 years. And he waited for morning to come. At the appointed hour next, he set out. A long walk, then catch a bus. Watch for the stop. Here it is. Let me out of this bus. It worked, just like she said it would. Then his world crumbled before his very eyes. He stepped out of that bus, only to see the longest stretch of shrubbery and grass he had ever seen in his entire life. She had said something about a park, but he thought a park was a dusty acre in southern Utah with a netless tennis court in the corner. Here he stood, looking in vain at the vast expanse of Lincoln Park, with not a friendly face anywhere in sight. It struck him that he had no idea where he was or what combination of connections with who knows what number of buses would be necessary to get him back to the station. Suddenly, he felt more alone and overwhelmed than any moment in his life. As the tears welled up in his eyes, he despised himself for feeling so afraid. But he was, and the tears would not stop. But as he stepped away from the noise, fighting to control his emotions, he thought he heard something hauntingly familiar in the distance. He moved cautiously in the direction of the sound. First he walked, then he walked quickly. The sound was stronger and firmer, and certainly it was familiar. Then he started to smile, a smile which erupted into an audible laugh, and he started to run. He ran as fast as those cowboy boots would carry him. Though hard to you, this journey may appear. Grace shall be as your day. The sounds were crystal clear, and he was now weeping newer, different tears. For there, over a little rise, huddled around a few picnic tables and bundles of food, was the bishop and his wife and their children and most of the families of this little ward. The sound, a slightly off-key, a cappella rendition of lines that even a boy from southern Utah would recognize. Gird up your loins, fresh courage take. Our God will never us forsake. And soon we'll have this tale to tell. All is well. All is well.
You know, I have a very strong testimony. As you are in the service of the Lord, doing what he needs you to do, you will have those angels, whether they are earthly or whether they are heavenly, blessing your life. Priesthood is amazing, and I am grateful for it, and I'm grateful for ways to be able to serve in that, and I pray for more ways to serve in that. And I hope we all, if brethren who are priesthood holders watching this, and the sisters who help them as well through this, we can't do it without you, and it's just amazing. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and thanks for sharing. Hope these messages this week have helped you out. Godspeed, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.